Good evening. Welcome. Today I am working on a fall journal portfolio kind of piece. And so I hope that you are going to craft along with me. This is one of those projects where you could craft along with me. I will list all the supplies that you need in the section below the video where you can click see more, and I'll list all the supplies there. And I'm also going to list them out right here, and you can just pause the video, gather your supplies, then come back and craft right along with me. So today for this little portfolio we are going to need, I'm using several sheets of paper. This one I'm just going to fussy cut around parts I want to decorate my little journal. And then I am going to use this one as a background piece on several of the pieces, and this is another little accent piece. We won't be using the whole sheet of each sheet, just bits and pieces from it. So you might just want to gather some sheets that you like, that you think will go good together, and have them handy. And then I need a solid 8.5 by 11 solid, and then we're going to need a few sheets of notebook paper. And this is the paper pad that I'm using. It's the Spiced Pumpkin, and it's just the recent one that's came out at Michael's, and I got this one last week, and I think I showed this one in my Michael's haul video. So if you want to go back and look, I think this one's in there where I flipped through it. But this is all fall themed. It's got the fox and several little animals in it. It's very cute. And then I also have a few little pieces of thin scrapbook paper, older paper, that I'll be using, but like I said, you won't be using the whole sheet. You're going to only need bits and pieces, and I'll try to put down below how much you need of each so you will know. So let me set this aside. First, you want to get your 8.5 by 11 sheet of solid cardstock, and you want to cut it at 10.25 by 5. Okay, so then you want to take the sheet that you have left over, the piece you have left over, and you're going to cut it at 5.5 by 3.25, 3.25. So you're just cutting a little slither off of it. And you want to save all these pieces because you may, I'm going to put them up here, may use them to decorate your journal. Okay, and now let's score these pieces before we're going to make the portfolio part first before we start decorating it. Okay, so we're going to score the larger piece. We're going to put it in here with the 10.25 at the top. And let me put this aside. Okay, so then we're going to score it at 3.5, and again at 7. Make sure that looks right. 3.5 and 7. Yes. Okay. And then we're going to take the little sheet here. This is going to be our little pocket that's in it, and we're going to score it at 1/4 inch on each side. So what I do is I score it, and then I just flip it over, and I score it again at 1/4 inch. Then you want to take it and put the 3.25 inch piece measurement to the top of your board, and you want to score down the long ways. You want to score at 1/4 inch. Make sure I got my paper in there straight. Okay. So now this is going to be our pocket, so let's prepare it. So you want to find your scissors. I got to find my scissors. And that could be, let me see, that could be a task here. I just had them. Here they are. I have piles of stuff everywhere. Okay, so now you want to cut out, when you see where you scored, your lines crossed, and there's a little square on the end of each side. Cut that little square out. Okay, so then on both ends, you're going to cut that little square out. Okay, and now what you want to do is just cut across, cut that little corner off of each piece there that was next to where the square was. You're just cutting the corners off. Just cutting a little diagonal line, just a little piece off. And this will make it easier to fold it up and glue it into a pocket. So then you just want to fold on those score lines, a bone folder, and just press down. I'm going to fold in. And you see where you cut those diagonal lines? It helps so that there's not a lot of overlap. And see, this one I see that I need to cut it just a little more so that there's not a lot of overlap. Cut that off. And so when I fold it up, see how those corners meet. And I just like to cut enough so that there's no overlap of these pieces. And that way it takes some of the bulk out. So you're just going to fold it over, and then you're going to get your glue. You're going to take your piece where you scored the 2 score lines at 3.5 and 7. And we're going to glue this pocket to the end here, so that you can slide your stuff in on this side. So let's add some glue. My glue's having trouble coming out. Shake it just a little bit more. Okay. I may need to get another bottle. This one may be an older bottle. There we go. And then just add glue all over these flaps. And you're going to take it and you're going to line it up so that the long edge where you put the glue on is going to be on the edge of the portfolio here. Just line them up. A little peak sticking out. Let me rub that down. Make sure that they line up on the edge. And then make sure it's lined up from top and bottom as well. Then I just take my bone folder and press down a little bit so I make sure it grips good. And then you can reach in here and press down so that you get it glued down really good. And so then you will just fold on those score lines we made. When you fold, just make sure everything's lining up at top and bottom. Let me set this side. Yes. So just make sure it's lining up. Because sometimes it's easy to take, and when you go to fold it on the score line, you still, even though you scored it straight, it's easy sometimes to press down and press it crooked, and then your top and bottoms are not lining up, and then your book will be crooked. So here is our little portfolio book. And so we have this, and then the pocket. Now, we are going to make a little notebook to go inside of the pocket here. So let's get our papers together for that. So what I'm going to use first is, for my cover of my little notebook, I'm going to use this paper. And it's just almost a solid, it's got some little lines in it. So let's lay that aside. So for this piece, I want to cut it. I've just got some measurements wrote down, so I'm just got my little cheat sheet so I can remember when I made this up. I made a little sample. I wrote down my measurements so I'd have it. So I want to cut this one at 4 3/4 by 6 1/2. Okay. And then you just want to fold it in half. And you can score it. I'm not going to worry about scoring this one. I'm just going to line the edges up and then press down with my bone folder. That does good. Okay. Do this side too. Okay, and then I got my corner punch down, and I'm going to punch the corners of this one to round it. So you just want to punch all the corners on the front, and then turn it over and punch the corners on the back. Okay, there's our little notebook. Now we're going to cut the notebook paper that's going to go inside of our little journal. And for this, I'm using composition notebook paper I just tore out, but if you had loose leaf paper, you could use copy paper. If you had graph paper, you could use graph paper, whatever you wanted to use in yours. So first what I want to do is get the holes off and get this little red line down. So I'm just cutting that part off. And then the other thing I want to do to my paper is I want to see how even up. I'm going to just put a little gap up here at the top as well. I don't want the huge gap that it was, so I'm just cutting that off. And now this paper is going to go inside of our little notebook here. This is going to be our notebook. So I want to cut this paper at, excuse me, I want to cut the paper at 4.5. Let me get my another, I've got a little glare on mine, on my board here. I want to cut it at 4.5 by 6.25, so that it fits inside the cover just fine. So 6.25. Okay, and then just do the other stack the same way. You're going to cut it at 4.5 by 6.25. And I want this to kind of look like a little junk journal, so I'm adding some little sheets in of the paper I showed you earlier. I'm going to put some in. I got to find those. And those, here's some that I already cut. And I think did I cut these? Yes, I already cut these, but I need to cut them down. So I need to cut it at 6.25. So I'm going to cut, actually I'm just going to get a fresh piece of paper out so I can show you. Okay, here's some graph paper that I have with that was printed. So I'm going to cut it at 6.25. Well, let me get my measurement. I can't see with the glare tonight. 6.25 by 4.5. I think I can get 2 of those out of this piece. Let's see, make sure this one's 6.25 by 4.5. Okay, I've got 2 of those, and then I'm still going to actually add this one to the book as well. Let's see how long it is. This cut it at 6.25. If it's not, it is. So that's a piece, and then I need, let me see if I can find my paper. I need one more sheet. So let me pull down. I want one more color. Let me pull this stack down and see what I have here. And this is what kind of paper I'm using for this. It is just your regular older. This, I don't know how old this pack is, but it's just scrapbook paper. It's really thin, and that's what I'm using for this one. Let me see if I want to see what color I want. I think I'm going to go with this orange here. Okay, so now we're going to cut it at 4.25. Make sure this, excuse me, 4.5. Now let's cut that wrong again. 4.5. We're going to cut it at 4.5 and 6.25. We're going to cut our piece again at 4.5 by 6.25. Okay, so now we got some sheets for this. So now let's work on stacking. Well, first we need to, if you're going to round your corners, which you don't have to, if you want to round your corners, now would be the time. So I'm going to go ahead and round all my corners real quick. And we will then layer these sheets up. So I know I want that one on the front, and then go ahead. And I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second up front and how we layer them. So that's going to go over here. This corner punch, I've always struggled with getting it even. I have to really watch closely when I punch the corners, or they will not be even. Actually, my favorite corner punch, I don't see it now, is on my envelope board. Actually, the envelope punch, it has a round corners, and that's my favorite one. It seems to work every time versus this one. see how many of these I can punch at one time without destroying this punch or my paper. Let's see here. It almost didn't do that. We'll try it one more time and see what it does. There we go. I'm going to have tons of little corners all over my desk here. I think this journal and little portfolio journal is great to put in your pocketbook, to jot down numbers or jot down information that you need to remember when you're out and about and you don't have anywhere to put the information. And these are also neat to put in the pocket inside of your planner for different notes and stuff. You could keep passwords in it. You could keep just little notes in it. It could also be just like a little, if you wanted to use it for Thanksgiving, for the month of November as your grateful journal, you could do that, or you could keep a grateful journal all year. You could use it year round, but it won't have a lot of pages in it, so it may not. That corner don't want to punch. It may not last you that long for a yearly journal, but let's see here. So now I want, when you open up, so this is your cover. So when you open up the journal, I want it so that this is the first thing you see. So I'm going to lay that down. And then I'm going to put a few sheets of paper, writing paper. And then I want to put one of these sheets in. Actually, I'm going to put it like this. And then a little bit more paper. And I want to add, maybe just this little flap in. And then I want to add the rest of the paper, and this is going to be the center of my book. And I don't think I'm going to use this one finally. I think I cut one extra that I don't need. So now you just want to take it and just want to eyeball it up and line up the edges and then press down. Okay. We just want to press that down. And now you have two options. If you have a long arm stapler, then you could just staple the center. I have one of those, but today instead of using that, I want to sew mine. So I'm going to use this punch I have, and I'm just going to go in and punch. I got to line up where I want it to be though. So I'm just going to punch. Let's see. Got to get my eyes straight. So you just want to be sure that you're going to do it at the same spot. And I'm having trouble seeing this in the light. Let me get it lined up. And wouldn't you know it, my girls are going to start barking, so it's going to be noisy for a few minutes. Okay, so punch through there. And then I'm just going to eyeball it and try to get about the same in the center here. Okay. Let's see, is that in the center? I'm doing this in the evening, and it is dark in my craft room in the evenings, I think, because I have a window beside it, but that I use a lot of light for. But right now, with it being dark, it's not enough light. I'm going to pause the video and see if I can get the girls under control. Okay, so hopefully the girls are going to be quiet now. So I forgot to show you right before the camera cut off. I'll punch the book, but now we need to add the cover, and you just want to line it up, like even around the edges. Just center it up into the cover, and then just take your punch and just punch again. Put right back through that hole where you punched before. Just get it lined up and punch. And then you want to do that on the other end. And if you didn't have a punch, you could use like I have a bookmaking kit where it has a little awl in it, or you could use anything to punch a little hole through. You may could even get your needle through, but you may have to do one page at a time. Just be careful and don't poke your fingers. Okay, so now let's lay this out. And while I had the camera off, I went ahead and threaded my needle. So and I'm just using some cotton thread like you get from Walmart, but you can use wax thread, anything. But this book's not going to get a lot of wear the way it's going to be attached, so I don't think it has to have any special thread. So now we're going to attach it in here first. So what we want to do now is we want to take it, just lay it down right here and center it up. And now you want to, let me get all my pages lined up again. So be sure you stack all your pages up, line all your holes up. And then you want to take and attach it right here in this, right here. So what you're doing is taking the spine of the book and going right in that fold line where we scored earlier. And we'll just fold it up real quick and make sure it's all in this right spot. Yes. So now you want to take your punch, go right back through the holes that you made before, and you want to punch all the way through to the back. I think you could use a long arm stapler here now, but I think I got it. Yeah. So now you want to just take your needle and you want to start here at the bottom, punch just so through, then come right back up through here. Oops, my needle fell through. It's just a very simple, just going in and out. Just one time. Bring them up to the center and tie it shut. And I'm going to tie a knot in there. This is when you might want to help you hold the knot down, but I'm going to try to just tie it on my own and just tie a knot in there. And then we'll tie it one more time just to be sure it's not as good. And then just cut those strings. And I'm going to put my needle up real quick because I don't want my girls to get into it. I'm always afraid they're going to find one in the floor and swallow it, so I like to put it up before I move on to anything else. Okay. So that'll be out of their reach. Okay, so now we have it, and it is sewn in to your little book. So now you just want to, I like to take and press that, and you just want to work it. Take your bone folder and just press and work all those pages down. You could even fold in here and press all the pages down again. And just work through them, getting everything just kind of pressed down and smoothed out so that it isn't so bulky. Just press down on them. Just work with them and work on the back side here, pressing and smoothing. And go inside here and do the same thing. Just work through the book. And just trying to just get it smooth and flat, and just wear it in some so that the pages aren't just sticking open the whole time. And then take your cover and do the same thing. Just pressing down. Okay. And so there, so far we have, let me press this one down. So far we have our pocket, and we have our notebook in, and then we have, and so it's going to close like this. Okay, so now we want to add some decorations to our book. So I want to put this on the cover of my book. So let me get my paper cutter. So now the pages, I want this one to be, I think it's going to be 3, so this is 3 1/2, so let's go 3 1/4 by, let's see what this is again, 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. Three and a quarter. And this is for the cover. By 4 3/4. And let's lay that on there and see if I like how that looks. Yes, I think that's gonna be good. And then what I'm gonna do is fussy cut around. Well, not really fussy cut, but just fussy around this, I want to cut, I have these strips that came with my paper, so I want to cut and have this fox on the front, but I also want these berries. So I'm going to start, I've been trying to decide, so I want it in the center here. So I think that it should be about, 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 inches. So let's start here. I know I want this part. Let's see, let me measure where 3 inches would go. Okay, so that's going to be perfect. So I want to, you can, whatever you're going to decorate the front with, yours doesn't have to be the same size. It doesn't have to be exactly 3 inches. I don't think this one's going to be. I think that it's going to work out to go below this gold line. So that's how I'm going to do it, so that I have the gold here and gold there. So I'm just cutting around, and you'll see it'll make sense in just a minute. And so then I want him in the center there. So I'm going to cut right down through here. I hate to have to cut that little raccoon's tail, but it's going to have to be done. Okay, and so then I'm kind of just eyeballing this. When I decorate a cover like this, I just want to eyeball to get when I'm fussing around to get what I want. So kind of just eyeball where I want to cut it. And so I think I want like that, maybe. Yes, because then up here, I'm going to cut a strip. This strip right here says, I don't know if you can see on the camera, it says, Hello Autumn, Pumpkin Spice, Thankful, Give Thanks, and Harvest. Well, I want to get the thankful out of that one. So I'm just going to cut another strip. And cut a strip here, cut on the end of it. If I can get it straight. These little strips are hard sometimes. Okay, and then what I want to do is I think I want the pumpkin on each side of it. So I'm just going to cut right here. And let's see, right here. So now I have my little thankful sentiment, and it's going to go up here, and I'm going to layer it. I think I want to layer it on top of, let's just look and see what looks good. Maybe on top of the orange. I think so. Or how about this? No. Let me see. I'm just kind of want to decide. Kind of like those mushrooms, but I think I want to use them for something else. So I want to cut it. We'll see how it looks. So it needs to be. So I'm going to cut this one, and I'm just going to eyeball it. And so I'm not going to have measurements for you on these parts, since I am just eyeballing and just making up the cover. But just use what's in your paper pack. Choose something in your paper pack that you like, and just cut around it and cut it out. You could fussy cut it with a pair of scissors if you have something that you really like that couldn't be cut with a paper cutter. So I'm thinking it's going to go like this, but I could change my mind. I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of having this here, and then this, maybe like this up here, or do I want it more like this? How would it look to layer one more layer? Okay, I'm gonna cut this strip out too, and I'm gonna layer one more layer. Okay. So. Susan is the best to help her with that, but I can take it. It's very simple. I don't know how to really explain it, but when they order through Etsy, after you make it, you can click the ship button, and their address will already be in there. Went ahead and cut a little piece of the strip to go under this one, just a layer. So I'm going to layer these three together, and then we'll put it down here. So that's going to be my cover. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the cover, and I want to make sure I have my book right set up. Okay, so I'm going to take some glue. Let me get some glue real quick. And I'm just going to, now do I want to, I forgot to round the edges. I think I want to, well, do I want the edge? No, I don't want those rounded. Okay, so I'm just going to add the glue to this piece. Should I dent the other side? Let me see if I can get a different bottle of glue. Maybe this one feels more full. So I'm just going to add glue to the back. Okay, and then I'm just going to add that to my front cover. Just center it up on the front of the cover. And you don't have to layer up all the pieces like I'm doing. You could just take a pretty printed piece, cut it, and put it on the front cover. I can't get that lined up. I'm trying to get that lined up, I was having trouble. Okay, so let me get my bone folder. I like to press it down with that, just to make sure the glue's not coming out. Okay. Just press it down good. Along the edges, because they are rounded over where you got the notebook in there, so you want to just press that down. Okay. Got a little glue oozing out there. So now I'm going to add this one to the top, I do believe. Make sure I get that glue off before I add it. I think that's going to go there. Let me layer these pieces to glue them together so I can go ahead and move them around and see how they're going to be. It may make it easier on deciding where the little fox goes. And put the thankful on top of that. Slide him right in the center there. So then I want to add it, kind of want to center it up, top and bottom. I think that'll be good. Okay. Let me add the glue here. Oops. So just put that there. Back of this one. Okay, so that's cute. I like that part. So for the next part, we've got our cover decorated, so now let's take and figure out the piece for inside here. And this piece needs to be 3 3¼ by 4 yes, we want to make it 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm going to use this pretty little piece here. I think that's pretty, with the berries and the leaves on it. So I'm going to go and I don't think it has a certain direction, so that is not going to matter. Be sure to pay attention to the direction of your paper if it does. So 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, let me make sure that's going to fit and look nice. Or do I want it a little smaller? I think I like that. So now let's just take our glue and add that. Okay. I may have added too much glue, but that'll hold it down, I guess. Okay, so we want to take and just center that up on the inside of your cover and just press it down real good. And I was looking at the front of this little notebook. I think I want to decorate that as well. So I'm going to take another strip. And let me see which strip I was wanting. That's going elsewhere. Let me look. Maybe I'll just have... I'm not sure. I just want one of the little strips going across it, but Cozy Up might be cute going across. Maybe I'll come back to that. Let's decorate the back inside here, and then we'll decide here. Because I got special pieces I want to use. So I want to cover this, and I want to cover the pocket, and I'm trying to decide what piece I'm going to cover the pocket with. Because what I want to do is I want to cover this pocket, but then I want to put a pocket on the pocket, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is use this one, and I'm going to measure real quick and tell you it needs to be, we need to cut that one at 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. So we're going to cut it 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, and so let's see how that looks. Yes, now we're going to add it, and I'm going to add this as a pocket, so I'll go ahead and cut it as well, and I'm going to cut it right along the gold top strip. So it's approximately 2 inches, the pocket is. Maybe 2 1/8 actually. Yeah, 2 1/8. So the pocket I'm cutting is 2 1/8. So I'm just going to add this one to them. Add that there. And then I'm going to figure out how much. I think I want the autumn. I'm not sure what part I want. Let me see. Do I want the little fox? He's going to get cut into possibly. Let's see. I do like, I could cut. Yeah, I want the little fox. So I'm just going to cut out. First I'm going to cut so that I make sure I get the fox in the picture. Just a little extra so I can trim around it. And then I'm going to need the fox here. So I'm going to take the pumpkin and cut off quite a bit of it. And let's see here. Let's measure that. That's, might want to cut just a little more off. Just the sliver, because it needs to be 2 3/4. There we go. So it's just going to be a little tuck spot pocket. So we just want to glue around these 2 sides and the bottom edge. Right along the edge. Okay. This would make a good little happy mail. You could make this and send it to somebody, and they'll make a good little gift to send. Okay, you want to make sure that you line the pocket to the very bottom of your little paper. Make sure you get glue there. Okay, so now I've got the side on this side, and I want to make a tuck spot on that side. So let me, do I want that kind of tuck spot? That may be too much of that, I'm not sure. What would this be? So let me decide on my background paper. I think I'll go with this one this time. And we're going to cut it at 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. 1/4 by 4 3/4. So now we're just going to attach it right here. You're going to make sure you put it in the center between the score lines, because you don't want to be on the score line, because then it's not going to fold up good. just center it up. Make sure you're not on your score line, because you want it to still fold up. And then we're going to make just like a little tuck spot here on the sides. You might want to tuck, you could tuck a receipt in if you're carrying this in your wallet. And so we're going to cut it at 4 3/4. And we are just going to glue just a little bit at the top edge along one side, which is the side that's going here. So I got to look, make sure I get it right. So I'm gluing along the top, the edge that's going to be touching, that's going to be glued to that spot. And so that way we have a little tuck spot right here. Let me show you. So then we'll just be able to tuck little things in like that. And then you got your little pocket here, but I think this is too big. So you got your little pocket, you can slide little things in there. And then you've got your pocket here. So now let's take a look at it and see what we've got. You could put a pocket there if you wanted, but I don't think I do. I don't think I want to decorate that either. I like that plain. But you could, if you wanted to, you could decorate the front of that. So now let's make a little bookmark to put in it. I'm going to use, which one of these do I want to use? I'm going to use, let me see, that's going to be down there. That might look cute. Let's use, well, I can't decide. Let's try this one. See how it looks as a little tag, bookmarks kind of thing. So we're going to cut it out here. And then this one's going to be perfect, because you see how it's got those edges? We are just going to put those, see the gold where the line is? I'm just going to put that in there, line up that line with my cutting line, and then I'm going to turn it into like a little tag. Do the same thing on this side, just line it up and turn it into a little tag there. And so now I'm just going to find my hole puncher. Punches, I can put a ribbon in. Just use this. I'm going to punch a hole. And now let me see, I'm going to close this up. Let's see. Actually, we need a picture here too. So we'll have to add something there. So fold that up, fold that up. Need a ribbon on it too. So this little tag is actually too big for what I was going to do. So I can cut down, let me see. Let me cut it down just a little bit. Let's see if I can, it's going to have to be it. Don't want to cut my words off, so let's just see. Here. See if that fits in there. What we'll do is, instead of putting it in there, we can put it in our little tuck spot right here. So I'm going to use, what color ribbon am I going to use on this one? I think it's the gold. So just take, I'm going to run it through the hole. And then back this way. And I might have done, then I need to just trim it off. I think I did that backwards, but that's okay. Do that one more time. I think I like it better the other way. And then back around. And there we have a little tag, and I'm just going to stick it in the pocket here. Trim trim off the edges just a little bit more. And then I want to use a ribbon to close this book up. And so I do think I'm going to use this ribbon to close it up. So all you're going to have to do is just take the ribbon and run it under the little string that you already, with your notebook was sewed in. And then just cut you some ribbon off. That's really easy. And you'll be able to tie it shut. Now, I think we should decorate this one too. So I'm going to cut one more piece, and it's going to be this one. And it will need to be, I'm pretty sure it's 3 1/4. So we need to cut it 3 by 4 3/4. So we're going to cut that piece 3 by 4 3/4. And then we're just going to attach that here. And you could add pictures to this little journal. You could write little notes in these spots. You could add a little journal tag and put on here. Just little maybe verses that you like, maybe verses or words that inspire you. And I may actually think I'm going to put a little journaling spot on that. I just got to figure out if one of these colors would go with it though. That little squirrel would. You could even write phone numbers on that one, I guess, or birthdays or something that you keep up with. Different little things could be put on that. So I'm going to add that. To this as well. Let's see, where do I need to cut it down? How much I need to cut it down? And stuff like this you just have to eyeball when you're decorating your journals and stuff. Just eyeball what you need to do and just measure your page and then kind of eyeball how you want it to look. That's a lot of times what I do. But that, I'll tell you this measurement. So this was, you got the measurement for that one, it was what, 3 by 4 3/4. And so this one I am doing 2 3/4 by 4. And so I'm just going to put it right there in the center. And there. Okay, let me move some of this stuff out of the way. So we can take a look at our little portfolio journal. So now we have, let's see, so we have our cover, and then we have our little inside page and a page here, our little pocket, and then we have a little tuck spot and a little tag. And then we have a little notebook, and so right here the notebook, I don't know if we flipped through it, but by turning the page like I showed you, that way you got a little cover page, and then you got little sheets in here to write on, and the ones we mixed in, they're little note papers like that. And so that one was facing down when we first put it in, and so that way we have it on this side, and then the other one was facing, if you remember, facing up. So you have that one. And then the center, I always like to put a decorative piece in this, decorative paper in the center. And there you have another little spot. And then on the back here. And you could add all kinds of little things in here to make it like a little junk journal if you like. And we have our pocket here. Forgot about that one. And so then we just close it up. This. And then you want to just tie it shut. Whoops. And there we have our little journal. I think that's really cute. And you can slide this ribbon down. It could go down here at the bottom. It's just to be down here between the words and the little fox so it doesn't cover them up. Well, I hope you enjoyed this project, and I hope that if you make one, you'll tag me on Instagram or comment below and let me know that you made it. I'd love to see yours. And I've put my Instagram link down below in the description, so hopefully you can see that and click on that link if you want to tag me so I can see yours. And I appreciate you watching. And if you like this video, be sure to hit like and subscribe. Thanks so much. Bye.